Turning to Malaysia, the country's king has confirmed Ismail Sabri Yaakob as the country's 9th Prime Minister. Let's find out more from Rian Maelzer, who joins us from Kuala Lumpur. Ryan, so tell us about the new Prime Minister. Why was he chosen, and is he expected to bring much changes?
Yes, well, Ismail Sabri Yaakob was trained as a lawyer, and then he held several relatively junior ministerial posts in UMNO governments over the space of about a decade. And then when Muhyiddin Yassin unexpectedly became Prime Minister early last year, and UMNO, his party, joined that coalition, he was vaulted to the position of senior minister in charge of security, somewhat by default, because Muhyiddin wouldn't pick any UMNO figures who were facing criminal charges, corruption charges, ruling out the likes of former Prime Minister Najib Razak. And then just a matter of early last month, 7 weeks ago or so, he was chosen as Deputy Prime Minister under Muhyiddin. And this was really to try to mollify and reduce the push they were getting from UMNO. But that didn't work. UMNO was looking for more power in the administration, and appointing Ismail Sabri as Deputy Prime Minister didn't work. 15 UMNO MPs withdrew their support from Muhyiddin, and the government collapsed. And I would have to say that Ismail Sabri is a compromise candidate. Even UMNO themselves, his own party, says that he was at best their third choice. And that was ruling out the likes of former Prime Minister Najib Razak, who still faces these corruption charges related to 1MDB. He was the candidate, Ismail Sabri, that UMNO's senior leaders didn't feel too threatened by, and that the other parties could live with in the coalition. And so basically a compromise candidate, not necessarily chosen because he's the best man for the job.
So Ryan, clearly a lot of political instability for the new Prime Minister to smooth out until 2023. That's when he has to hold a national election. So that amongst other domestic challenges, tell us about those.
Well, his first challenge will be to come up with a cabinet, because the previous cabinet was extremely bloated under Muhyiddin Yassin. There were 70 ministers and deputy ministers, and many people would like to see him choose a much leaner cabinet. But he faces the same problem that Muhyiddin faced, which is to appease and satisfy various factions and various parties and various regional interests. Of course, the number one challenge that he faces is the pandemic and the economic impact from that. Malaysia has seen record COVID cases for the past 3 days, and with the exception of the vaccination program, which has ramped up very successfully in the past couple of months, really the pandemic control has gone out of the window. And they've really been reopening sectors of the economy even while we've been seeing these record numbers. I would not expect any kind of radical change in direction on the control of the pandemic or economic policy or anything else, really, because Ismail is basically, it's the same administration with a new person at the top. He has the same people to choose from cabinet, and he was an integral part of Muhyiddin's cabinet and the decision-making process as the senior minister responsible for all the COVID protocols and lockdowns, and then as deputy prime minister. So how much change we can expect in direction is very, very hard to determine at this stage. It doesn't look likely that there will be much change.
Thank you so much, Rian Maelzer in Kuala Lumpur.